This is the Synthetic Signal Report for Tuesday, April 28th, 2026, in the afternoon. Today's report analyzes a series of critical security vulnerabilities in the OpenClaw platform and a high-severity remote code execution flaw discovered in GitHub. We examine the strategic integration of OpenAI models into Amazon Bedrock and the ongoing testimony of Elon Musk in the trial against Sam Altman and OpenAI. This analysis also covers a new study revealing that 1/3 of new websites are artificial intelligence generated, the FDA's move toward real-time, cloud-based clinical trials, and a technical breakthrough in 3D stacked near-memory processing for large language models. Finally, we look at the potential closure of the session messaging app and the controversy surrounding a design defect in Anthropic's Model Context Protocol. The OpenClaw platform is facing a series of high-severity security disclosures today. Researchers have identified several vulnerabilities in versions prior to 2026.3.22. One critical flaw involves a privilege escalation vulnerability where Bootstrap setup codes are not properly bound to device roles during the parent process. This allows an attacker to escalate privileges during the first use pairing of a device. Additionally, OpenClaw is vulnerable to environment variable injection within its CLI backend runner. This allows attackers to craft malicious workspace configurations to execute code. In mirror mode, the system also contains an arbitrary directory deletion vulnerability, where an attacker can influence remote workspace configuration values to delete directories on a target system. Finally, a webhook replay vulnerability was found in the Plivo version 3 signature verification process. Attackers can reorder query parameters to bypass replay detection, despite the system's attempts at canonicalization. These issues highlight a systemic failure in sanitization and scope management within the OpenClaw environment. Simultaneously, a critical remote code execution vulnerability has been identified in GitHub. This flaw allows attackers to execute code at a distance, targeting the very infrastructure where much of the world's source code resides. This is an update to previous coverage regarding supply chain integrity, as the attack surface for version control systems continues to expand. Security teams are urged to review their GitHub enterprise configurations as patches are deployed. In a major shift for the cloud provider landscape, OpenAI models are officially coming to Amazon Bedrock. This announcement follows a high-profile interview with the CEOs of OpenAI and AWS. By integrating these models into the Bedrock ecosystem, Amazon is positioning itself as a neutral aggregator of frontier intelligence, allowing enterprise customers to run OpenAI models alongside existing options from Anthropic and Meta. This move is technically significant because it brings OpenAI's proprietary logic into the AWS security and privacy framework. It allows developers to leverage Amazon's existing scaling infrastructure while utilizing the reasoning capabilities of the latest OpenAI releases. This development effectively ends the period where OpenAI was exclusively tied to Microsoft Azure for large-scale enterprise deployment, creating a more competitive landscape for cloud-based artificial intelligence services. This is a signal from the future. Researchers from Stanford, Imperial College London, and the Internet Archive have published a study revealing that 1/3 of all websites created since 2022 are generated by artificial intelligence. This is an under-the-radar development because it suggests the Internet is reaching a dead web threshold faster than anticipated. The study found that these sites often prioritize search engine optimization over factual utility, leading to a degradation of the overall information quality in the public domain. In a related signal from the frontier, the FDA commissioner has announced that smarter, real-time clinical trials are set to transform drug development. For the first time, regulators will be able to monitor trial endpoints in the cloud as they occur, rather than waiting for periodic reports. This allows for more adaptive trials, where researchers can identify safety signals or efficacy markers in real time, potentially shortening the path to market for life-saving medications. Researchers at the University of Edinburgh, Peking University, and Cambridge have published a breakthrough paper on microarchitecture tailored for 3D stacked near-memory processing. This is a grounded analytical advancement in the how of large language model decoding. By moving the compute substrate closer to the memory stack, the design reduces the energy-intensive data movement that currently bottlenecks artificial intelligence hardware. This co-design of microarchitecture and scheduling specifically targets the decoding phase of language models, promising a significant increase in throughput for edge devices. In consumer hardware, Valve has officially announced that the new Steam controller will cost $99 and arrive on May 4th. Meanwhile, Samsung's first smart glasses have leaked, featuring a Qualcomm Snapdragon Yar chipset and a 12-megapixel camera. NVIDIA has also quietly launched a 12GB version of the RTX 5070 laptop GPU. This provides 50% more video memory than the previous model, addressing the growing demand for local memory in mobile workstations and gaming laptops. The community is currently reacting to a report that Anthropic built a remote code execution vulnerability into the Model Context Protocol's standard I/O transport. While researchers identified this as a critical design defect, Anthropic has reportedly characterized the behavior as expected. Because over 150 million downloads are affected, developers are concerned that every project adopting the protocol has inherited a significant security risk. In the world of sovereign tech, the Session Messaging app has issued an urgent request for financial support, indicating that the project may be forced to close without immediate funding. This highlights the fragility of privacy-focused, decentralized tools that lack corporate backing. The community is also tracking a destructive cyber attack in Moldova, where 30% of a medical database was damaged. Unlike typical data thefts, this attack focused on the destruction of records, serving as a sobering reminder that data availability is a life-critical metric in healthcare. Finally, keep an eye on the Surveillance Accountability Act introduced by Representatives Massey and Boebert. This legislation aims to require warrants for all government-initiated digital searches, representing a significant move toward digital sovereignty in the United States. This concludes the Synthetic Signal Report for Tuesday.